Hey guys, welcome back to another episode here of Flipping with Trevis. Make sure you click on that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. I know between episode 2 and 3 I had a ton of you guys click that subscribe button, so I do appreciate that. Make sure you do subscribe, and I believe it's clicking the little bell icon next to that so you can actually get notified every time I add a new a video or even do a live stream from this channel. That being said, I know in episode 2 we talked about the credit issue a little bit, so I'll go over that again. But this, man, between episode 2 and this episode 3, I told my wife I feel like I'm on a not a reality show, but like just I can't even explain it. It's so the craziness that has happened the last 7 days has been so crazy that I feel like I'm maybe like a Truman Show kind of thing. I feel like I am being punked or something. I don't know. So, if you watched episode 2, which you should have, so everything in episode 3 makes sense. If you haven't, go back and watch that. So episode 2, I kind of went over a credit thing where over a week ago, my lender, who's doing my hard money loan for this flip, called me and he's like, hey, Trevis, a little bit of a speed bump here. Your credit score is nowhere near what you told us it was at. So I'm like, what? So I went through this hassle of looking into it, and I as soon as I saw how low it was, I go, I feel like I know what that's related to. It shouldn't have been like that. But it's related to like a phantom ghost fee that was applied to a Barclays card, unbeknownst to me. And then because it just sat there, it was like a $5 fee that just sat there. And because I didn't do anything to be awarded any kind of fee, it collected late fees and stuff like that, which tanked the credit score. So I had for the last 7 days. I mean, I've had, I don't know, 10 calls with, I think 10 or more calls with Barclays. Each of them at least over an hour. And then Equifax, the credit report bureau, I think at least 5 or 6 calls, most of them over an hour as well. So about 20 hours, I feel like, in the last 7 days roughly, have gone into phone calls to alleviate the situation. And it was, man, it was chaos. So I called Barclays and fought with them like, hey, da, 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 da. I moved up the ladder, and a lot of people were like, sorry, there's nothing we can do. And then it finally got to a point where they go, hey, yes, even though we did this, we did that, we're gonna erase. They already like a month ago, they've already erased the actual existence of late fees and any kind of charge on my account. They just didn't report the fix to the credit bureaus of TransUnion and Equifax, so my credit score is still suffering, which is something they should have done all collectively. But of course, not everybody does their job correctly these days, or in general. So, I was like, hey, let's fix this. Can you fix the reporting? And I finally got them to say, yes, we will forward this. We will pass this through to the credit reporting bureaus. And I said, great. But they said, but this is something we only send out like credit updates or credit report stuff to these people, like to Equifax, once a month. And that's like the 4th of the month. Now, granted, I've been trying to accomplish this credit correction thing for over a month now, but the last day I called them, I think it was on like December 3rd. It was when I was going through like, I think December 2nd, either December 2nd or December 3rd. That's when my hard money lender called me. And December 3rd, I called Barclays. I was like, you're supposed to fix this. You had already took it out of my account. Why didn't you change the reporting system? So now, fast forward a couple days after that, they're like, oh, sorry, we only report every once a month, and it's on the 4th of the month. I'm like, you remember that time where I called you on December 3rd? Do you remember that time I called you before that on November 3rd? Like, I've been trying to take care of this, so I wasn't stuck in a situation where somebody says, sorry, you have to wait till January 4th before the credit score gets corrected. Now, keep in mind, I'm closing before episode 4. I'm closing, I believe, Friday, so I record these on Saturdays. On Friday, I am closing on this property. So before you see episode 4, I will 100% own, unless more chaos ensues, I will 100% own this property. So, that being said, I was like, hey, you can't wait a month to change this reporting stuff. I have to have it changed ASAP, because now, I'm going to pause real quick. If, in fact, the credit reporting did not work, we had a few backup plans, but when I know I mentioned this on episode 3, but I got on that phone call original when the lender called me. He's like, hey, we got a problem. I said, am I losing this house if I don't get this resolved? And he's like, no, you're just going to be paying more, like a lot more in interest, like 3% more in interest. You're going to be paying more of this. You're going to get less money total on your loan, which means you're paying more out of pocket. So it's not a situation where I have lost the house completely. It's just much, much worse for me on the profitability of this property. So we had a few other options, and we're like, okay, what about this, this, and this? But I'm like, no, trust me. Like, I'm going to be calling everybody in the world that needs to be called to alleviate the situation because this needs to be fixed. So they said, hey, sorry, we'd only report until January 4th. And I go, listen, I need to be done now. I'm closing on I need to live in a house. I'm closing on a property in like a few days. This has to be fixed so I have a place to live. And they're like, and so I moved up, and higher up, there's this awesome guy. I think his name was I think I wrote it down. His name was Dino. And so was going to fix everything. And he goes, okay, that's what you got to do. You have to send us like, it was like what I told him, I go, just send my lender a message or a fax or a document in like a 48-hour window that says that this is being resolved, and maybe they can take that and do that. But apparently that wasn't even enough, where we actually had to have the number changed within my Equifax score. So I just I called Equifax and I was like, hey, I just had Barclays send you guys a fax saying they fixed this. I'm going to confirm that you have that fax, because that's what Equifax told when my first phone call to Equifax. They said, hey, have Barclays, send us the information that that they've resolved the issue in your favor. So I call Equifax. I'm like, hey, they sent you a fax. Do you have it? I have a few days left to figure this out. And Equifax says that it's to get the fax, it's like, it could be up to like 72 hours for it to be processed, put in the system, and everything resolved. And even though that would have technically worked for the timetable I had, I was like, no, it needs to be done now. What can I do to make it done now? And like, well, if we do a 3-way call, I was like, 3-way with who? So if it's me calling an Equifax representative and then also calling a Barclays representative, and me doing all my, this is my social security number, or this is my last four, this is my credit card, this is my name, my address, and then getting through all of this stuff so Equifax can have my my account pulled up, and then having Barclays in there to say, yep, it's all good, clear anything about a late fee or anything like that on his account for this card. And so I tried to do that, but the first few times I couldn't get all three of them on the phone at the same time, because the Equifax just kept putting me in a loop of repeating the same answers to try to get through to them. And it got to a point where I think it was Equifax ran out of time on their office hours. I was like, crap, I gotta do this tomorrow. I was like, oh my gosh, 20 hours of phone calls in a very short period of time. And then I called Equifax a couple days ago. I don't know what day it was. Called them a couple days ago. And I said, listen, I need to do a 3-way call so I can knock this out and so it could be resolved. And on that call, when I called him, he's like, actually, I just pulled up your account and there's no more red marks or blemishes on your credit account from the Barclays. So I have 100% payment history, everything returned. And they're not allowed over the phone to say what my credit score is. And I was like, okay, so here's where it is now, according to my lender. Is it lower than that? Same as high or higher? Just give me some kind of generalization. He goes, it's much higher. I go, awesome. So I've resolved the issue. So after 20 hours of phone calls going back and forth and fighting my way through all of these credit reporting systems and these credit card companies, everything's resolved. So I reached out to my lender and I'm like, hey, you could run my credit again. We're good to go. He runs the credit again, and it's still a lot lower. It's still much lower than what I'm looking at, because I actually paid for the premium Equifax package, so I can see this is my exact Equifax score. Now, if you have Credit Karma or any kind of thing like that, what Credit Karma's number is it's kind of like an average of Equifax, TransUnion, and a few other sources. It's kind of just a formula that says, this is your credit score formula, and that's free to view. But if you actually want the exact credit score from the credit reporting companies, then you apparently have to pay for some premium service. It's $20 a month. So I'm like, I paid $20 just because I want to see it. I want to see what the actual score is, and I see it. I'm like, thank the Lord. It's what? It was 70 points higher, which was where it should have been. It was 70 point difference because of this stupid credit card fee that got added to my account unbeknownst to me. So everything's resolved. I'm looking at it. He runs the credit score, but it's still much lower. But it's the very last number for me to keep the same terms of my loan. So he goes, okay, so it's higher than when we last time we ran it, but it's still not as high as what you're saying. And I go, you told me you run the Equifax, and I'm looking at my Equifax number, and this is what it says. This is what you should be pulling up. So I don't know what formula him and his establishment uses, but it's definitely not a pure Equifax number because it was much lower. Anyway, so going through this 10-minute debacle on this opening of the episode, it's resolved. Credit score is back to good. Even though when the lender ran it for the second time, it's not as high as it should have been. It's still as high as it needed to be for me to get the same terms. So from a loan perspective, we are still good to go. But let's go to the next situation of chaos. So next situation of chaos is closing cost for me to actually buy this property. So this house that I live in, we own. I bought this house over 5 years ago. Didn't pay. I didn't have the mental wherewithal of anything real estate related. The realtors made it very easy peasy for just to be like, hey, sign here, sign here, sign here. So I'm not really paying attention to anything. I just know that there's like a cost, and I know that I have to pay it. And so I wasn't really paying attention to the finite details. So if you ask me what was the closing cost, if you even asked me like what was the commission that you paid to your realtor and like what was the closing cost, I wouldn't be able I would have to research to find that out. So I lead with that because for me buying this house, because I'm buying this house from an owner directly. It's an off-market property, which means he didn't seek out selling the house. Someone asked him to sell them the house, which was a wholesaler, which then sold the house to me. So he doesn't have an agent because he's just selling it out directly. And because I'm buying it for investment purposes, I don't have to have an agent. So I'm not paying a 3% to a buying agent or a selling agent. There's no agent involved getting commission. We're just me, owner, meeting up at the title company 6 days from now and signing paperwork. I'm owning the house. So I asked, because I know there are other closing costs besides commission, like insurance, taxes, doc stamps, and a bunch of other stuff like that. Like I did all my not all, but I did all my pre-licensing testing to become a real estate agent, and I still have the final test to go. I have like a 2-year period to do it, and focusing on this first and then knocking that out after this flip is done in a couple months is my plan. But anyway, so I know that there's other things involved, and I know like we've learned the math and stuff, but I didn't want to it's not. I would have to go back in my notes. It's not in my brain. Anyway, so I asked one of my colleagues. I said, do you have a rough estimate or even an exact estimate of what I'm expecting to pay in closing costs for this property with all of these, taxes and everything involved? And they had the title company that we're dealing with send me a kind of like it's pretty much a rough estimate. So it's not like these is the exact cost that you have to pay, but that's pretty close. I don't know if I just did an accent there. I apologize. I don't know where that came from. So anyway, so they came back with the closing costs, and it's like $6,000. And I was like, what? I was like, clearly I didn't have that in the back of my mind in terms of math when I was calculating things. Because I'm like $6,000 in like taxes and fees alone, and I'm not paying a single penny in commission. I was like, okay, so I definitely screwed up something there in terms of calculating. So why do I bring this up? Well, I bring this up for a certain reason. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to flip over here. I'm going to pull up my, I've pulled this up on the last few, the last few episodes. So let's go over to here. So the $6,000 in closing costs, like I said, taxes, insurance, fees, doc stamps, all that stuff, about $6,000 for this property, okay? Rounding it up by like a couple $100, it pretty much makes, and this is including everything involved. So I'll go back here so you can look at the all-in price. So here we have the all-in price here. So this is my total loan fees, my monthly payments. If I have 3 months of fixing this property before it gets sold, we have about $4,400 there. The rehab right now I have about 45,000, and the closing cost, like I said, about $6,000 here. So look, I'm just rounding it up by a few $100. My all-in price is $300,000. This is how much I'm all in. Not including any cost whatsoever when I'm selling this property. Just my all-in price is $300,000. So we're going to go back to scrolling on this thing with my left hand is not easy. My monitor's to my left and I'm right-handed, so I don't want to reach across my body to do it. Anyway, we're back. So the all-in price, as you see right there, and we're looking at this section right here, by the way. This is what we're looking at. The all-in price is $300,000. Now, my lender has a appraiser look at the house and give a custom valuation on what they believe in their professional, researched opinion what this house could sell for, or what the ARV is. So we can do all of our ARV calculations, which of course is after repair value, which is what the house should be selling at once completely remodeled and rehabbed. And so we waited a couple days for that. And we're hoping for the highest number possible. Like there's this comp pushes it really high. And we found out, by the way, it has a lake. I don't know if I mentioned this on episode 2, but we do know it has lake access. There's like a boat dock. There's a boat ramp. There's a dock. We're gonna be clearing out the two not garages, like 2 sheds, like these 2 concrete sheds that are blocking the view to the lake from the backyard. So we're going to be demoing those. But yeah, so the custom valuation came back. I don't think it factored in the lake stuff. But it came back anyway at $320,000, which is what our ARV has been, like our like default ARV, if you will, has been $320,000 since we even originally put an offer on this house. That's even from the wholesaler and backing up with my numbers of my own research. So we have a $320,000 ARV, which is not as high as we wanted, but it's not saying, hey, your numbers were horrible. It's backing up our original numbers, not the numbers now that we've included lake access and everything. This becomes a problem because the custom valuation is done. So the lender, if your hard money lender says you're going to get like 80% ARV for the loan, 75%, 70%, 65% of your ARV, the ARV, official ARV they use is what this custom valuation is. So my loan amount is based on what this man says it should sell for based on his professional opinion of research. So we're hoping really high because that means I'll get more money on the loan. Which means less out of pocket, less, and all the other stuff. Anyway, so the sell price of what this man says is going to be $320,000. The all-in price is $300,000. That before anything else is only a $20,000 difference. If you incorporate closing cost, so the closing cost on the front end is $6,000. This house is going to be selling for a lot more, so there's going to be a higher cost, higher closing cost of all those fees. There's going to be agents involved because it's going to be an on-market property once I, make it all spiffy. So we're going to have buyer's agent commission, seller's agent commission. Even if we do like smaller than 3% numbers on my side for that. $20,000 in closing costs. If I structure depending on how I structure the contract, but more often than not, the seller pays for seller pays for that stuff. So $20,000 closing cost, holding cost, which is during these 3 months, I'm already paying $1,500 every month roughly for interest payments for this loan. But there's also utilities, insurance, taxes. So I rounded that up to $1,500. If you can see that number below that, my total profit minus $1,500. Once I factored all these in, now that I had a better understanding of what non-commission closing cost would be, because my bad for not doing the correct math on flip number 1, or factoring in that they would be that high, minus $1,500, $1,500 negative. That is saying I am losing money on flip number one. So as soon as I saw that, I started. I sent like a text to my friend who sent me this property in the first place that I got it from, and I was like, listen, this isn't working out. I can't do this anymore. There's like, if we sell it what the professional guy said it's going to sell for, I'm losing money. Now, I do want to pause there because I thought about this a lot since that text message went through and since we had a phone call together. But I have a $5,000 deposit on this house. I have, this was 7-10 days away from closing date. So if I backed out, what would happen? If I said, I don't want this property anymore. Once I see that negative number, I don't want this property anymore, back out. So, first off, the people who originally got the property under contract are very prominent in my market industry of flipping. So I don't want to burn any bridges with them in theory. Again, this is all about my bottom line and my money, so I shouldn't be worried about anybody else. But at the same time, if this is something I want to do continuously, I need to make sure I don't burn bridges or upset people, especially if there's somebody that I need to be networked with for a long time. So like, okay, well, that's kind of a negative side effect. And on top of that, I have a $5,000 deposit I put on this house. So if I say never mind, I'm out of $5,000 because it's a non-refundable deposit at this point. So, in theory, if I said I no longer want this property, I'm for this entire thing, I'm including like the custom valuation that I already paid for it. I'm down, I'm down like $5,500. I don't think I ordered a survey yet. So yeah, I think as of right now, I'm down $5,500 if I say never mind. And this was like a few days ago when I'm having this epiphany realization that there's like a 65% chance that I can be losing money on this house when all is said and done. But if you look at this number here, if I go through with it and sell it and all my numbers are right, they're never going to be right until we actually go through it. You've watched enough flipping shows that the numbers are never exactly what you calculate them as. But if these are exact, I only lose $1,500. So if we're comparing apples to apples here, if I do what this column where the arrow is right under, which is the minus 1,500, if I do all of that stuff and I sell this house, and by the end of everything, end of fees, end of me having ownership of this house, closing date's over with, I am down $1,500. That is actually $3,500 to $4,000 better than if I just said never mind. So I'm actually losing less money, and I'm getting the experience of an entire flip number one. So that's why I'm like, okay, because I'm already sacrificing $5,000 in example A of just backing out completely and burning bridges. If I keep this property, I don't burn any bridges. Everybody's happy, except for me because I'm losing money. But I get the experience. I get all these great YouTube videos you guys can watch and learn from, and I also get I also lose less money if all of this stuff is these numbers are accurate. And that's if we sell at 320. But if we sell at one of the comps has a nice like open kitchen, so we're definitely gonna have to open up the kitchen a lot, create a lot more open floor plan to hit that. But if we do something where it reaches what one of the best comps in a very short distance away could get to, it puts it about 350, 352. That's like the best comp. That's like my best case scenario is about 350, I think. So if we go on market like the right time, like it's already a pretty good market. It's a seller's market. So that's why everybody's like, don't just trust me. It's like, it's good. It's going to be good. So anyway, to wrap this up, if we can hit the peak, 350 with all of the exact same numbers included, then I go from losing $1,500 to making $28,000. That is awesome. So even if I don't make $28,000 profit, I'm still not losing as much if I said never mind. So then because I was like, when I texted my my wholesaling friend, I was like, listen, I'm done, man. I am not losing. I'm not doing all this work and losing money. But then when I realized that I would lose more and burn bridges if I said never mind, then I was like, listen, I will take it. and I will take the lessons, I will take the experience for a $1,500 price tag. Sure, that's not what we got into this property to lose money, but we're not losing as much as we said. Never mind. So because we're here, we'll be flipping this property. We'll be closing on this property in 6 days. I think I'm going to be doing some live streams from this YouTube channel. While I'm in the house doing the stuff, we're going to be trying to do as many live streams as possible. It could be from Instagram or the Facebook page or YouTube. Just make sure that you are subscribed or following all of those. So you're already subscribed to this YouTube channel, right? Right? Better be. Flipping with Trevis is the name of the Instagram handle, and of course, Trevis Real Estate Investor is my Facebook page name. So find those, like those. But we'll be doing some live streams as we walk around the house and kind of keep you guys updated on stuff. But yeah, episode 4 is going to be crazy because we are closing on a house before episode 4 is going to be recorded. What else I've been doing in the meantime is I should actually be wrapping up recording this today. I'm working on a wholesaling for beginners course. Episode 1 or lesson 1 was, I think, 20 minutes. I just recorded episode 2 or lesson 2. I keep saying episodes. But I'm going to be doing a wholesaling for beginners. So if anybody out there has someone interested in wholesaling houses, I'm creating a very inexpensive, very short and sweet basics, wholesaling 101 basics course, wholesaling for beginners. And I'm going to be wrapping and recording and probably editing it as well later today. But it'll be available. I'll post the links and stuff on my socials if anybody's interested. But yeah, trying to keep this one as short as possible. It looks like these all are probably going to be hitting the 30-minute mark because there's so much to go over. But that is the gist. And then, yeah, you see at the top there, I have the loan information and all that stuff. But yeah, so we're going to be flipping a house. We're going to be hoping that it sells for at least enough sale price. And hopefully there's a bidding war because it's going to look so amazing that it just keeps growing that. And we're hoping we make profit off of this. But that's episode 3, guys. If you have any questions about anything, always hit me up. You can shoot me a message on Facebook, on my Facebook page, Trevis Real Estate Investor. I think my DMs are open on Instagram, Flipping with Trevis. If you have any questions, just let me know. But that is episode 3. Craziness. I'll see you guys after we own this house. We'll be posting about that and getting started with demo and just knocking everything out of the way. But I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.